Alright, cool.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, no problem.
Jitun here, waiting for Jamie.
Yep, waiting for Jamie.
Your voice is a little bit low.
Can't hear me?
Okay.
I wasn't really speaking that loud, so.
I think Jamie is still in the office. He just sent it into the group. You'll join later.
Still at office? I thought you're
So,
working. I thought she's working from home.
yeah, I'm not sure. Jitun, are you going to type or?
Jun always type one lah. Jun very fast, don't worry. He's good.
Yeah. So, minutes, I'm going to bring all my books here.
Okay. Yes, Chichun, MCO extended, but doesn't change what we need to do, so... Okay.
Yeah, MCO extended. They saved a lot of money.
Hey, please, nowadays got e-ang pao, okay?
Yang bao,
Yeah. You save on traveling lah, you save on maybe hotel and all that stuff lah. And yes, I agree, Chichun, still no money to pay for exam. Maybe because there's because there's MCO, can't get ang pao, cannot pay for exam. Shit.
I think they are going to lift it very soon in March. So one is lifted, then our exam will be go on time.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, have you
Yep.
read the question? You know which year for this?
I have no idea which year this is.
Yeah. Actually, it should be September 2019.
Oh, okay.
We did it before but we forgot We forgot. Maybe yeah. After we have discussed yesterday, if we do again, it will be totally different. The way to answer it. Okay.
Okay.
So it owns 2 adjacent plots, 2 hectares each. It's agriculture. Okay. Here's the point. The subsidiary of ABC, DEF, is appoint us to develop a mixed development of both land with a tower block, office, one office block, and the other is 18-story hotel under a shared podium. Okay. Unlike the procedure required for DEF, the developer, okay, to sell and issue VP of the office before the completion of hotel, bearing in mind the responsibility of DEF as the developer and you as the architect. So it bring in the landowner here for this question. Do you think it's they are looking for something else, something special?
Yes, specific to that question will be under the responsibility of DES and the MPI. So they need to get what they call the power of attorney.
Yeah,
So yeah, so they need to get power of attorney from ABC Berhad, and then use that to proceed with their development.
to sign all the plan to develop the land in accordance to NLC lah.
Yeah,
NLC, there's specified mention about it.
yes, correct. I can't remember
Okay.
which section, but it's in there. Okay, I think to answer this question,
So
right, we have
basically,
two
you're
parts
asking
over
for,
here.
yeah, the not only the land, statutory requirement, isn't it?
Hmm. No, because you are saying
To
asking
sell,
outline the procedure
yeah, to sell an
for
issue,
sell
to
and
sell
issue.
an
Yes,
issue,
yes.
it should be involved like the full package of 4 pillars. From planning to strata title, yeah, there's a statutory requirement.
Mhm. Prior to completion of this block.
Sales, that means involved with is that HDA?
No HDA.
No HDA, right?
Nope.
So should be. So if nothing to do with HDA, do we need to say something for SPA?
Yes.
We need to check all the drawing, isn't it?
Yes. Actually, I think yesterday's question, right?
Yeah.
No,
How do
sorry.
we
Yesterday's
structure it?
one of yesterday's example answers mentioned about checking the SPA, and they are specifically mentioning about checking the SPA for the conditions to effect VP.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like if inside the SPA, right, mention CCC, then uh, we had to advise either I advise the client to change to partial CCC to enable vacant possession, or we allow or we go ahead with CCC, but we had to split into two BP, for example.
Yeah, this is not halfway construction, isn't it?
Yeah.
They know it from very beginning.
Mm.
They know it from very beginning. So in the SPA, yeah, so
So I
how
think
do
there's
we,
a few things we have to do. I think there's two set of
two set of
responsibilities.
BP, okay?
We have responsibility for DES and Dien Berhad as a developer, and also us as the architect. So we have to. I think we have to list it down.
Okay.
Then also the procedure. So the other part is actually the procedure.
Oh,
Procedure, we can look into procedures first, and then talk about the responsibility of DEF.
yeah, we can create something like table in 3 column.
Hmm.
Okay, the first column will be um, all the 4 pillars thing need to be achieved. Then second column is for developer, their responsibility in relevant to those 4 pillars. The last column is for architect. Is that a good idea for answering this question?
I think I'll go with a table showing the responsibility of DEF and also the architect.
Mm-hmm.
Then go with a flow chart.
Flow chart.
Go with a
To
flow
answer
chart
this
for the procedure. Basically,
procedure.
we'll be outlining the entire flow chart from km all the way until the vacant possession for the hotel for the office unit.
Okay, the flow chart is mostly regarding to the statutory requirement.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Then how about, do we need to talk about like engagement of consultant, those things like,
Yes, we can do that. In fact, I think when it comes to responsibility of architect, we can say one of the first things we have to do is secure our own appointment.
yeah,
Then we can talk about
why is
DES responsibility to talk about to get into to get the letter of power of attorney.
yeah. So,
Then the appointment. Then this DES to appoint consultants.
yeah, they need to get the appointment. Then based on our suggestion lah.
Yes. So they are responsible to appoint consultant. We advise uh, this client
Mm.
to appoint
Which
uh,
consultant?
yes
The
relevant
relevant
consultant.
consultant.
So okay. Uh, so that's a
Do we need to
responsibility.
talk about like contractual like what we answering in 2020?
I think contractual part
The
maybe
vice
we can skip this part,
which
but
is to sell and to issue VP mostly is about statutory,
hmm.
all the flow chart thing. Then to sell is to sell is, what's the condition for them to sell? There's no APDF,
They need to
only
get
SPDF.
their ciphers and SOP because we have to assume that this so-called strata offices, right, is actually developed as a strata office. So
Yeah.
yes, teacher also mentioned from planning the strata title. So as strata title development, you have to get your ciphers down. Then only you can do your SOP, your file in your schedule of parcel, and with that file in, only you can start selling. And also, we also have to demarcate the properly demarcate lah. I mean, our responsibility will also be to properly demarcate the phases, properly advise and demarcate
So we do it
phasing.
from the very beginning lah. That
Mm,
means from claim stage, we demarcate to be two phases.
mm.
Okay. The podium and the office should be F. To type something here. So do we advise for F1 or 2BP, do you think?
F1 is okay. In fact, I think F1 will be easier for us to work with. In fact,
Yeah,
once
because
you
it's
see,
under one
it's also better
division.
for us because once we submit BP for the whole thing, right, we claim one shot already.
Yeah, yeah. So the design basically is one complex.
Mm.
Okay, so we go for F1.
So you see, I think if you look at it, if you look at this question B later on, right, I also mentioned about as a single development, BP as a single development. So basically, we have one BP only lah. After launching a project, due to poor response and all that, I decided to build only hotel block and then requested delay the office development to a later date. So this kind of thing, right, have to be careful lah.
Mhm.
Meaning that we can go ahead and advise that we split into two phases, but still under one BP, and then because it's not HTA, we can go for F1. So I think we are giving proper advice over here. Uh, in fact, you don't need to VP with strata title. Your strata title can come later also if necessary, because it is not a requirement to. It is not a requirement to. You may not have it inside your strata. Sorry, your SPA to issue your strata title upon VP or together
Yeah,
with the VP. So it can come later, maybe within a certain time frame, for example. So basically what I'm trying to say is that the strata title issuance is not it's not critical. It's not key here lah.
sorry, yeah.
Sorry, are we okay on this?
Yeah. So is 1 BP, advise them to apply for F1. Then we can mention about provisional block or something for this.
Yes, but I think for 7 points maybe we don't need to go into that much. So
Yeah,
we can talk about responsibility of DEF and acquire power attorney for APC and other point consultants and other professional responsibility. I did mention here lah to specifically mention about appointing an architect and also a licensed land surveyor because you definitely need them to do the work. Then I think not much else
and what is
lah when it comes to responsibility. But so okay,
responsibility?
responsibility
That's
part
all lah.
I got basically five
Architects a lot lah.
I got 5 points over here actually.
Mm.
For just responsibility alone, under DEF, we talk about power attorney, we talk about appoint consultant, then on our part, architect, secure appointment, advise client to appoint consultant, then advise to demarcate the phasing of development into three phases. We can talk, or maybe can go for podium, then office, then hotel. This way, right, we can move things around if we need.
I'm
Yes.
confusing sometimes. Demarcating in KM and demarcating in BP is a different thing, isn't it?
Yes. In fact, when it comes to BP, right, when you say demarcate, it only means that you are facing development inside one single BP. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Like,
there's a difference
yeah.
between demarcate phase within BP and demarcate phase within KM, and then submitting
KM.
separately as BP. Submitting separately separate BPs.
BP.
But inside KM, right,
Okay. Normally,
even if you are 1 km, you can still submit 2 BP inside 1 km. That's not an issue. Even though you don't list it out as a separate phasing. As far as I can tell anyway. So it should not be a problem lah. In fact
so
in fact
normally if we demarcate in KM,
mm,
that means we are ready to go for 2 BP lah. Okay.
you can do
If I,
that. You can do that, but not necessarily. But what if you have two separate KM, right? You definitely need to have two separate BP already. You understand? You
so the
follow?
BP demarcating is mostly for the purpose for F1 lah.
Yes, for purpose of F1.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Because I saw what Adila group did for this question, like they don't look at the mark lah. There's an exercise from IME or something lah.
Mm-hmm.
So they list out like they answer it like 2020, the way of answering it lah.
Mm-hmm.
I think they talk a lot lah, a
Mm-hmm.
lot in details lah. I think more than one pages lah. They fit in everything inside.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like yeah, I think they talk about provisional block for this. So if we have provisional block, okay, only one BP, so there's no provisional block. But how do we do it?
This one you still need provisional block. You definitely need because of the
But original, but originally is only one BP, isn't it?
only one BP, correct?
So how to do provisional block?
You can't do that. You mean?
Provisional block come in, we need to very clearly um, the marketing in BP can allow for provisional block or not?
I don't see why not lah. Because you are done in phasing, mah. It's different phase already, what? Your provisional
And
block will come
facing
later, mah.
because
So that's
your original BP is only one BP,
yeah.
okay, one BP. When you submitting the ciphers, you have to base on your approved BP for two tower block.
Yes, and then for that other part, you because you're already listed as a provisional block, so when they issue your
Mhm.
strata title, they'll issue the ones that you want to what can issue, and then the provisional block they'll just issue one single piece of paper saying that it's a provisional strata title.
Yeah,
Then after that,
I
that provisional
think
strata title will have its own aggregate share unit, and then that kind of thing lah. Then once you want to develop
I
that
think
remainder block,
yeah,
yeah.
I think two BP is more proper way lah if we want to do provisional block.
Yes, but if you look at the following question, right, I think I'm just thinking about how we can plan to answer the entire question in one single go, one single flow.
Okay, because it's relevant.
Might be relevant because I think the other day Ong was saying this Ong what can't remember his name. Ong Ting Wei
Ah, yeah,
yeah, Ong was saying he basically read the entire question and then he planned out an entire scenario to answer the question one shot.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that seems very fun to do lah. So I'm just
That is
thinking,
important because sometimes you repeating the answer for the next one.
yes, or basically once you have already once you see the problem that can arise, right, you can already advise and then you can already sort of predict what can happen.
Yeah,
It sounds good and it feels good lah to be able to do that, but maybe not necessary.
yeah,
Anyway, just
and
coming back to this question, what I'm thinking, right?
yeah,
Um, yeah, I mean, we'll go with we'll split into facing rather than going with BP because you mentioned approval is a single BP ma. And also, if you were to
single B.
separate, and also if you were to separate as separate BPs, right? I don't see how you can get it to work. Actually, you can lah. Basically, if you're gonna do it as a separate BP, you need you need to construct as three BP lah. Basically,
Three BP, oh, if you want, oh,
you need to complete your podium first. Then only you can talk about either your office or your hotel. If you split into two phase, you can still do it. Basically, you complete podium. You don't do your hotel. You don't do the office. You can stop at your podium, issue an F1 for your podium, then you start constructing your hotel. It works
yeah,
that way also lah.
yeah, make it very complicated, oh.
Yeah. So
Yeah, the next one they talk about is one BP. So after launching, due to the poor response of the office, developer decide to build only hotel block
hmm,
the office. So they swap lah. Okay,
yeah.
list the step or issue the F1 or F to apply for strata title. So now they swap.
Hmm.
So basically, it's the same thing, isn't it?
It feels like the same thing. So the way I look at yeah, F1 for hotel is not an issue anyway. So it's not a HDA product. It's not a HDA government building product. So it's not an issue. It's just that how
So
are we going to play how are we going to play this BP part lah? So the way I look at it, I will maintain with my suggestion here to go with three separate phasing inside one single BP for the for this okay, for question A. Basically, we show them that we have three phase, and then we do a flow chart that shows three phasing, and
Three
then
phasing
three
for
phasing
separate BP.
for no single BP, but for separate phasing, and then at the end of the day, you can get your
Yeah,
form F.
they mark it in the BP lah. Okay.
Yeah, so you can have form F, form F, form F1, form F1, and then form F at the end. So it doesn't matter how
Okay.
you build it
Okay.
lah, provided that
Okay.
your podium goes first.
Okay.
Yeah, so that way once
Either
we
one
create,
can go first lah.
hmm?
Either block can go first lah.
Yeah, so it doesn't really matter either way like in this situation, and also provided
So
that the essential services and all that are well provided for, yada yada yada, then we should be able to
basically
cover it.
B, they are looking for copying those requirement in the lamp circular. We just put all the points there.
Hmm.
Should be okay, isn't it?
Yep.
So yeah, when answering this development question, sometimes I'm very confusing. We need to answer it in diagram or what you mentioned just a flow chart, or do it in like table format,
Hmm.
because sometimes they say if they don't ask for diagram, we don't draw diagram.
Hmm.
So what do you think about this?
I don't think it is a problem because just because they say unless they tell you you cannot draw, I don't think it's wrong to draw it.
Okay.
Yeah. If diagram makes it easier for you to explain, right? I don't think it's a problem either, lah. This is one point I agree with Rian, lah.
Sometimes I do it in diagram.
Mm.
Graham give me only half mark,
Yes, actually, when you do in diagram, you have to be careful to respond properly to the scenario of the question. So I also did a lot of diagrams before. In fact, I am quite well trained with it.
And
It's just
in
that
lab
I
also,
never, yeah. Go ahead.
in lab also, when I answer development question, we put the full spec of diagram, Graham diagram.
Ah.
They also not suggesting that. They say don't do it diagram. So if how to give full spec to answer in the list,
Mm.
sometimes I miss out something. It's really difficult to read.
Mm.
Show you something. How, um, snap in the group.
Mm. Actually, Chichun is saying something else here also. So he's saying,
It's how I need lead them to answer for A.
this question is it?
Yeah, for this question.
Uh,
So they are doing the way like what we discussed for 2020. So if I learn how to answer this way, the 2020 shouldn't be any problem. But
Rancang demarcation.
I think this is the good way to answer this kind of question.
7 points in total.
They put it something like this,
Land matter, surrender state authority queue.
Move to wrong direction might be quite dangerous sometimes. Yeah, they talk about PA. Yeah.
Yep.
Rancang, professional land matters, BP, SDA, SMA.
So yeah, they mentioned provisional block as well. They mentioned share units as well. So provisional share unit, yeah.
For the last try I did for this question, I do it the diagram, full spec.
Okay.
But I get the full mark only maybe 3.5 out of 7.
But do you get your point? Do you mention anything about power of attorney? Do you mention about appointment of consultants?
Yeah, normally if I answer in diagram,
Ah.
it's just like OAC from OAC up to strata title.
Oh, actually, here's here's also what I am starting to pick up now. Actually, once I
Yeah,
get a
yeah,
bit
yeah,
clearer lah. Because if you look at the entire question, right, they're asking you to outline the procedure. So when they say outline procedure, I think you can do it with your diagram, okay, or you can talk about things like, or you can basically list it out like it's fine either way. Then the second part of this question, right, was saying that bearing in mind the responsibility of DEF and also the responsibility of the architect. So maybe when you answered this question previously, you did not get marks for not mentioning the responsibility of the developer and also the architect. I'm just guessing.
yeah.
So basically, even if you go full spec and then you list out the entire set of flowchart, right? But you did not manage to answer the part asking about responsibilities.
Yeah, yeah.
So that
And
is,
comparing
yeah, that's probably why you didn't manage to get the full marks. I
okay, okay.
suspect.
Yeah, we can do it in diagram,
Yeah.
but have to include all of this.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
as far as I can tell lah. So
Yeah, before the OAC, on top of that, we draw the diagram of developer need to get this. Architect need to advise this, then we point to OAC,
mm,
then give the
mm,
full spec. Huh?
mm-hmm.
Nothing wrong with it. Diagram is easier to read, isn't it?
Diagram is easy to read, but when you do diagram, there's also a problem because I can see why that there can be a problem because I'm actually writing it down now, and then I can't think of a way to fit in this provisional block and also provisional share unit into this diagram. I find a bit of difficulty over there. But maybe that one I can just put in a footnote somewhere else and then I can still cover lah.
Yeah, somewhere near to SOP there.
Yeah, maybe
Share
maybe there we can just
share unit plus provisional share unit.
yep, correct. So maybe I can say to submit ciphers including with okay, the aggregate share unit for the entire development and also provisional share unit for blocks to be completed in the future, for example. I think we can put it that way lah.
Yeah.
So yeah, actually, okay, I'm looking at this answer that you shared with us. SMA regulation what 46.
Regulation 46 is we need to give a written notice to COB.
Uh,
I'm not sure is our duty or developer lah. Maybe it's developer or the SMA. So
under
maybe
regulation, yeah.
this part of developer responsibility.
Mm,
Okay, what they miss out in this kind of structure is like they need to separate it into developer and architect lah.
mm.
Then
Yes, I
the
agree. I agree with that. I
entire
agree with that. I
yeah
agree with that.
entire yeah and the entire this answer look more structure in a way. So the SMA we put it is under the developer responsibility.
Mm. Okay, I'm looking actually at the Strata Management Act at the moment. Scrolling
Mhm.
through it lah. I don't have Strata Management rules with me. I only have the wait. I only have schedules and things like that, and the own I do have
But
a
it's
sec. I
isn't
have
it?
I have section 46. Section 46 is just talking about application of this part. So
It's
wait,
rules. I
rules
didn't
is it?
flip through the rules.
Yeah. Because section 46 just talk about the management after existing or management corporation. I don't think it really applies. So I suspect it's actually part of the rules lah. Not so much the what they call it.
Under 245,
Hmm.
how many rules they have? Let me check. Only one rule, isn't it?
I had no
Notice
idea,
by
bro.
developer of intention to deliver VP.
Basically, I have to notify the COB, is it?
Notice by developer. Let me snap for you.
Okay, thanks. You bought the book, bro.
Yeah, I got. Yeah,
Good job, lah you. You know, most of my book, I only got it after I started after I went into the exam hall.
because before I joined the lab, I
They were selling
want
lah.
how to go for it. You
Alright.
know,
Okay. Understand.
actually, before the lab, uh, uh, there's a plan. I need to prepare myself to get the basic understanding before I join them.
Ah,
So no one tells me uh, NLC is only few section we need to read it.
exactly. I also bought NLC because
You
that's
know
the
what?
thickest book.
You know what? Before the lab, I read the entire NLC and make me very headache. You know, I was kind of wanted to give up for this part three. It was so difficult. You know,
I know. I agree with you. I agree with you.
understand. You know, then after that, they tell me only few section you need to understand.
Oh, bloody
Oh
hell.
shit.
Relief, I tell you.
Okay. But it's good lah. At least I know the entire story, what it's all about for lease agreement. You know, this
Mm-hmm.
whole lease agreement, tenancy agreement. Yeah, I still can remember some of it lah. Okay, come back to this. Basically, is the notice by developer to intention deliver. Yeah, I think it's relevant now for answering because there's a responsibility and duty for the developer here
Mm-hmm.
up to strata title.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think, but yeah, you get 1 point for that lah.
Okay.
Yeah, I never thought of to answer it in this way before.
Uh,
Yeah, until they discuss for it um, today in this way, it's totally different. We have missed out the developer duty.
they
No,
missed out, is it?
not we lah. I have missed out the developer duty
Okay.
on my previous trial.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I think Chichun is mentioning a few things here. I think let's just go back to him. Sorry, Chichun, for ignoring you for so long. Actually, no, I've been reading lah. So he's saying that in phasing, no problem. Yes, phasing we can still issue. After phasing, we can still issue. We can still submit ciphers with provisional uh, block and also provisional share units and provisional strata title for the blocks to be completed in the future. So we can also do F1 for the hotel. Yes, no issue over there. Then need to submit ABP to demarcate again to issue F1 for hotel. So yes, this one is in response to question B. Either to Here's the thing: is either that the way I look at it, if we were to split into three separate phases, right, inside one single BP, we don't need to resubmit an ABP. We can still go ahead with F1 as soon as one part of this one of these phases has been completed. We can go ahead with issuing F1 immediately already. That should not be a problem. So he's saying that more to SDBA question, don't need diagram. I can agree with that actually. I don't see any issues with that. But
So
not necessary lah.
we don't write a we don't write ABP. We just write BP to be demarcated with the consent from LA lah. ABP is
Yes.
totally different. ABP
ABP.
is like we are going to we submit two BP
Yeah,
or
correct.
three BP in this development.
Correct. So maybe it's not necessary lah.
So
But
okay,
I think I understand
uh,
what the teacher is also saying. Okay, hold on. Here's the thing. Damn, I only fit few pages for NLC. I also fit only few pages, but he read the whole thing lah. Khoo is an awesome one. Okay, so the next you're saying, but if previously, if we didn't submit office as phase one, do we need to submit ABP for hotel to change to phase one? I don't think it's necessary. Oh,
Yeah, can hear, huh?
yep. Welcome back. So welcome back, Chichun, and also Aku.
Okay.
So where were we? So where were we?
Yeah. ABP and BP demarcate.
Okay, demarketing. Yeah, I think once you actually demarcate it properly, demarcate defacing properly, right? For example, like I said, in anticipation of what happens later, lah, I already demarcate into three separate phases. So podium first, then hotel, then and then you have the office. In that situation, I don't think you need to resubmit an APP to re-demarcate the entire development. But in the event that you put the office and
So,
also the podium right as one single phase, then you might want to speak to authority first on how to go about it, whether need ABP or can just submit a demarcation plan and call it a day, or that kind of thing, lah, basically. At least this is how I see it.
okay, how about from very beginning when we submit the BP, we demarcate it?
Yes, that is what I would prefer to do actually. I think if we do that, we give ourselves a bit more flexibility.
Okay.
Yeah,
From the very beginning, lah, under one BP,
yeah.
but we demarcate it, lah.
Yeah, but I think the second question has a other kind of problem lah because issue form F1 and F1. I think the second part of sorry, the question B will be a bit trickier. The first question, I think we practically nailed it down already. I don't think we want to go back to it lah. But let's perhaps move on to question B over here, talking about the planning approval and also KN as BP as a single development. So after launching the project due to poor response for sale of office unit, decide to build only hotel block and request to delay office development to later date. So we had to understand a few things over here. It means that the sales of the office unit has already commenced, meaning that they have already went ahead to what do you call that?
Yeah.
Apply for ciphers and
That's
also your apply for ciphers and also apply for your sorry, file in your COB already. So at this point, there's a few things we need to take into account. We have to. This is not saying what kind of consideration you need to make or what kind of advice you want to give, but it's just talking about steps to be taken to issue F1 F or F1. So I think we can mention immediately that we can issue F1 because it is not HDA. Then we can also talk about application of strata title. So it's the strata title part that I'm not certain how to go about because we can probably resubmit our ciphers, and then change this provisional block for hotel into a change a provisional block for hotel into a cipher into a strata title. Sorry, into a share. provisional share unit
provisional.
into share unit. Yes, sorry. And then basically just follow through the rest of the process.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here's the thing. You might want to change this. Okay, basically, you will want to change the office block development into a provisional block instead. Basically, you switch the two. So in this situation,
Switch
because
the
you
two lah.
because initially you wanted to VP the office first with Strata title, so you went ahead and submit ciphers and SOP for that already. So now you
Yeah.
want to basically reverse this action, and then
Mm-hmm.
submit ciphers and SOP for the hotel entire building. So you have to change the office back into provisional for you to develop at a later time. So when you issue a Strata title for hotel and also the podium, and then you issue your provisional strata title for your office. So to do that,
Yeah.
whatever sale that you have made, you either have to get consent from these guys to change your ciphers, or you can give them the option to basically cancel their sales, totally pull out, totally cancel their sales, and then
There's one question.
yep, sorry,
One question.
yeah,
For the provisional share unit, okay,
yeah,
it's just provisional.
yeah.
Might change up and down.
Uh,
Very high. So do we need to get the consent from the existing purchaser? Let's say it's a service apartment purchaser for the phase one.
okay,
I mean, for other case,
yeah, yeah. So
do
basically,
we
if we are
need to get
talking
a
about instead of office, right? Instead of talking about office, right? But we are talking about a service apartment development instead of an office. So first and
yeah?
foremost, it will be governed under HDA already. The problem with HDA is that once you sign on to the sales and purchase agreement, you have to honor them within 36 months, like it or not.
Yeah, yeah.
And the only way you can try to get
How about
hmm? How about
yeah? How about we uh, I mean, if we don't bother the HDA,
yeah?
do we need to get them the consent for change the provisional share unit?
Uh, change them back to provisional share unit, is it?
No, no. I mean, the hotel might be increase the level,
Or if
okay,
there's any change to the
because it's
share,
provision.
if there's no provisional, doesn't mean that it can change. It just means that it will not be. It simply means that it will be delivered at a different time, at a later time. It doesn't mean that you can change the
Okay,
total share unit in there. Aggregate share unit for the entire
okay,
development is set at the very beginning of the project. Whatever changes to that amount of share unit over
yeah,
there, you have to update and get the consent of the purchasers before you
okay.
can proceed. And I think you need to get
So
a
for
hundred
mixed
percent.
development, okay.
Yeah, for mixed.
So
Actually, not
now
just
I
mixed
can understand.
development, not just mixed development. Basically, anything involving strata
Uh,
title, anything involving share units, right? Any changes to those things, you have to get 100% consent.
yeah. So if other question I ask about how do we suggest the client
Mm-hmm.
for this kind of development.
Mm-hmm.
So is this better way to like separate BP, separate CCC in order to avoid those consent with, from purchaser for different phases in future? So is that a better way to advise our client
I think it is.
for separate BP lah? We
Separate PP will
marketed,
actually be easier to go
so
with.
we don't have to bother the phase one or the residential unit.
Yeah.
Separate BP, yeah, means separate ciphers, isn't it?
Separate BP doesn't mean separate ciphers because your ciphers is always tied. Your strata title is always tied back to your entire piece of land. So you are still talking about provisional block and all that.
Oh,
You mean tie with planning permission also, right?
Hi, Jamie. Driving ah?
I sorry.
Jamie, ah?
Yeah. Is it tied to the planning permission? Because I wonder,
Hmm.
like, the SATA title, like the share units, right, when you actually plan at the DO stage already, right?
Yes. All the aggregate share unit has to be decided upon at that early stage. In fact, once your
Before,
in fact, the idea is this: once your BP has been approved, right, you should already be knowing what's the amount of share units you're looking into.
But we haven't designed
okay.
it.
You have to design. Basically, that's what it means. You have to design already, or you at least have to have a parameter how to design for it.
Okay,
So it's
Be-
so
better
we
to
can't change it lah.
subdivide
Sorry, Jamie,
is
you're
it
saying?
better to subdivide so is it better to advise the client if let's say you have like separate component, it's better to subdivide the land before you submit for KM?
Yes, if you can do so, definitely better. That way, it will be easier for you to do and make changes as necessary. But if it is a mixed development, which is really the conundrum that most practices face nowadays, you have to know how to go about it.
Mm.
Basically,
But it means everything
you don't
is
really have a
already
choice.
from
Basically,
the
you don't have a choice. You have to advise them that you have to be very very adamant about sticking to your guns, and then understanding that once you decided on this, it's difficult to change.
mm.
Then we can
Okay.
perhaps try to strategize how to better manage that kind of development lah.
Okay,
Mm.
and unless they have a, okay, it's a complex development,
Hmm.
but under the podium, they don't share the podium. Look like a shared podium, but it's like independent design.
Yes.
Link bridge, okay?
Okay. Okay.
So they have independent ciphers, independent BP,
With the
one
link
KM.
bridge, I am not certain, but I think we have similar. I'm already looking at similar projects actually around Bukit Jalil. I think this one in
Yeah,
Havre, I think by Aset Kayamas. It's basically one big
yeah.
podium, although the podium is separated at some point to allocate.
Hmm?
Yeah, it is the same podium. It appears as one single building, but there's a separation wall in there somewhere to differentiate or to demarcate between the low cost site and also the free cost site. You
So
understand what I'm
should
saying?
be 1 km
Yep,
demarcated in different phases
yep.
with different BP, different ciphers, different CCC.
Different ciphers, probably different BP and different CC. Yes.
But
Even if they have it as a single, even if they have it as a single development, it should still be possible because as far as MC is concerned, right, you can have one MC for say the low cost portion of the development and like a free cost portion of MC. So that way they'll both not to say combine lah. They'll both be under one single MC, but they have their own sub MCs lah. So that way works as well.
from my understanding, right, share unit distributions, right, it ties to the whole piece of land. Doesn't
Correct.
matter you demarcate how many phases.
Correct.
So that
Correct.
one, if
Correct.
you're doing startup development, you need to set already. So you even like maybe what person is like separate share units is actually not separate. It's actually one whole piece. Uh, one share unit only lah. So you cannot
Yes.
change already actually.
Basically, one master title lah. To put it simply, it's
Because
one
it
single
ties
master
to your
title.
common property, all that, all the.
Yeah. So there's two classes of common
Doesn't matter
property.
how many people you tell around, right?
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Basically, there's two classes of common property. One is that commonly shared throughout all the sub MC, and then the other class of common property is only shared within the purview of one of the subsidiary MCs. So the way they contribute to the fund will be different as well, lah, accordingly. Lah. So, okay, I think it's time for us to really treat the questions, try to answer the question properly. So we're looking at question B
Yeah.
now. Okay, single development launching project due to poor response on the sale of office unit. That means there's been sale, but maybe not as good. Decided to build only the hotel block and requests you to delay office development until a later date. So steps needed to be taken in order for you to issue Form F and Form F1. So when we answer this question, we can make a few assumptions here, I believe, saying that we can assume that the facing has been clearly demarcated according to whatever that's convenient for us. For example, you can say that we already demarcate one face for podium, one face for your hotel, another face for your what do you call that offices. So if you want to delay the completion of the office, it is not an issue, but he has to take into account uh, the the issues that may arise from non-completion or non-delivery of the SPA agreement. So basically, whatever he has signed already, he has to find a way to either cancel it or to reverse it or to get them to agree to a later completion date, for example. So if that is an issue, and then also get a consent from them to basically resubmit the ciphers to enable the hotel block to be completed first and then to be issued with Strata title for the podium and also the hotel because they are rightly both under their own subsidiary management corporation in this situation. This is what I can see. This is what I can think of lah at the moment. Then that being said,
Yeah.
we'll move on to start talking about the specifics and to issuance of Form F or F1 for trial title. So because it is not a HTA project, we can issue Form F1 and then allow the occupation and use of the building as soon as essential services and also safe, and as long as it's safe and fit for occupation. So that should take care of the F1 side. Then for trial title, as soon as the superstructure stage of this hotel has been completed, the podium and the hotel has been completed, the the licensed land surveyor can commence his work to submit for the CPSP within 3 months. Okay, within 3 months of the superstructure stage
Yeah.
certified.
3 months.
Yeah, within 3 months,
Yeah.
and then after getting CPSP, he can apply for the strata title, and once strata title is ready, you can transfer. You can transfer to your whoever that owns the building lah. So this is how I see
Yeah.
the entire process. I haven't listed out though. I didn't have time. Chichun is saying that even if previous BP we demarcate office as phase one, also don't need APP to change hotel as phase one. In this situation, if let's say when we look at the entire development, basically we demarcate the entire development in two phases. One phase being the podium and also the strata offices. In that situation, we might need to submit an ABP to split up the the office and also the podium into two sub phases. Basically, phase 1A, phase 1B, for example. In that situation, as long as we get the local authorities' consent, it should be okay. It should be doable. It does mean that we need to get a local authority to consent, meaning it's either ABP or AKM or ABP with AKM or just a demarcation plan, dependent on the authorities' directions in this situation. But as soon as that consent has been given, we can go ahead and we can go ahead and then issue the F1 once the building has been completed. So that should not be a issue like. I mean, it's straight. It seems straightforward like at the very least. As far as how we answer, to do it is a whole different matter lah, obviously. So,
Yeah.
Khoo, you got anything to add? No?
No, I think I have a different angle how to now I have a different angle how to answer this kind of question
Hmm.
after our discussion from yesterday and today rather than just doing the diagram.
Actually, yes, that's one thing I
Yeah,
miss. That's actually one more thing I miss. Actually, now that I look back at it, the conversion of the land should be taken into account as well because you got the agricultural land 2 hectare 2 hectare. Then you want to combine into one single land of 4 hectare, and then you want to convert to building land. So this process, right, you can immediately say it's a 204D process, surrender and alienation, and then
yeah,
change the
that's good.
agriculture into a building land. So that alone takes care of
Yeah,
most of it already lah. So land matter, yes, we can.
yeah,
If they were to split it into seven items like this, right? I think it is also quite intuitive lah. So basically, we can list out the 7 things that
yeah,
we need to consider when it comes to development. Land matter. We can talk about what else? Yeah, basically the entire list over there
yeah,
lah.
He also actually, in part got have a quick question. So, I'm not sure if you guys have mentioned one point very important is the power of the attorney for A.
Yes, we mentioned this actually before you joined us, right? We were discussing about it also. So Khoo was saying that he produced the full flow chart for development process, and then he only get half a point. Sorry, half the marks of this entire question. So what was missing is perhaps the part where they mentioned the responsibility of the developer and also responsibility of the architect. Under these two
yeah,
categories of answers, right, we need to mention getting power of attorney from ABC Berhad, first and foremost.
Yeah.
Then second thing is their duty to appoint consultant, their duty, especially architect and licensed land surveyor. Then
mhm,
I think one thing I didn't know until today is the notifying the commissioner of building in writing to issue the vacant possession, to effect vacant
yeah,
possession. This is under
yeah,
Strata Management Rules 46 apparently. I've never seen that thing, I can tell you that.
yeah,
So
Also, every time you issue the strata titles, you need to inform the commissioner of building.
I have no idea. Actually, Khoo was sharing with us. I think this thing he snapped from yeah. So it's part 14, deposit by developer to rectify defects of common property. So notice by developer of intention to deliver vacant possession.
yeah,
Within
Okay,
21 days
okay.
prior to delivery of vacant possession of a parcel to a purchaser, give written notice to COB intention to deliver vacant possession. So then there's talking about this form 25, yada yada yada. I have no idea what they're talking about. I've never seen any of this thing before. So yeah, there's that thing lah. Basically, this is something that I've always been. It's not so much ignoring. I just didn't know about it.
yeah. Me too. I
I
never
only thought
think.
it's only housing.
It does look like it's only housing, but it doesn't quite say because if it is under Strata Management Act, right, then it will apply to all strata title
Yeah.
property, unless they mention specific to HDA. Which in this case, I'm not sure either one way or another lah. I can't say until I have a look at the entire document. So okay, then when we talk about, I think there's the other part of the question was asking for responsibility of architect. So the way I choose to answer this lah will be first and foremost secure appointment first floor, obviously. Then advise the client to appoint their relevant consultant in accordance with our condition engagement number 3. Then properly advise and demarcate the entire development into phases lah. So you can have as one BP basically, and then have 3 separate phases for the entire development. So we can talk about podium and then office and hotel in 3 separate phases. This way we can ensure the issuance of Form F1 and partial CDC, and also allow the occupation and use of the building as soon as the each phase has been completed. So this way, I think the reason why I put this down, right, is because I believe this is good for the developers' cash flow and also finance planning. It also gives them a bit more flexibility in how they want to do things to a certain extent. At least that's what I believe. So I hope that with this we can secure this 15 points over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
This totally changed the way I'm answering
it's interesting lah. I mean,
for
it's certainly another way to
uh,
answer lah. I mean, you don't instead of drawing the donkey chart so nothing against Rian lah. He has his way lah, definitely. But doesn't apply to everything like sort of silver bullet lah. I guess that's it for this two-part question. These two parts of the question here. So yeah, what else are we going to talk about? Chichun, do you have anything to add or not, Chichun? Sorry, I always read your comment last one. I let him type first. Maybe Jamie, you want to say a few things?
No, nothing at the moment.
Haha. Chichun said nothing from him. Ako, anything you want to add or not?
Jamie, can I ask? I forgot how Jamie do for just very quick explanation. I forgot how Amy do for the land matters question 3 again.
Okay.
How again? Can you quickly recap for me?
Can
you
so,
mean there's few steps.
sorry?
Few steps, isn't it?
Okay. So, you mean the land matter part, right?
Yeah, land matter part only.
Okay. You want me to explain or I snapshot to you?
Snapshot. Can also no problem. So
Okay.
basically, it's like I forgot lah. You mentioned before it's like you do the amalgamation first and go into 204B.
No. She only amalgamate the 3 freehold and the leasehold. She leave it as it is. Yeah. Then she go for submission, and the 3 freehold she use it for the normal strata development, the landed one, plus some of the low cost and the medium cost left over from the leasehold. So she put all the kawasan lapang, the 10%, and the most of the low cost and medium cost requirement to the leasehold.
So how is the land application?
Sorry, the land?
So I missed some.
Your voice?
First step, she amalgamate the 3 freehold land. 3 freehold land. Then how about the leasehold land? Stay there lah.
Only then she submit the whole thing as a single proposal after she amalgamated.
Okay, so after amalgamate of after amalgamation of freehold land, you go for 1 km lah.
For 1 km, but I don't understand, right? She has 2 pieces of land and then she submit as one single proposal.
Yeah, 1 DO. Then how do we go for the land matters? 204B, if you use.
I think she after she amalgamate the freehold title, she we submit surrender and realization for the whole development.
Then there's no point for amalgamating in the first place.
Yeah, that's why I think maybe not. She only amalgamate the freehold, but I screenshot to you. But the part I don't understand, she mentioned that she submitted single proposal with 2 land title. Like, is it possible? Yeah. So is it possible? I mean, my question is lah. So the way she explained is actually, she needs the leasehold as it is, but she submits TM with all the lands together with road surrender.
Okay, that means maybe it's 2 separate for 204B. Freehold and leasehold. Yeah.
Yeah, she keep it separated.
Okay, okay. Okay.
Yeah, but I screenshot to you also so you can have a look what she writes,
Okay, can. Yeah, that's all my question.
Okay, I guess shall we call it a day today? And come back tomorrow for this.
What are we discussing for tomorrow as well?
Yeah.
What's the question we are going to discuss tomorrow?
Jamie, would you want to choose or Chichun maybe? I think Chichun choose lah. Chichun haven't choose anything before.
Yeah, I think teacher should choose.
Yeah.
Chichun.
Yeah, Chichun
Please.
choose. You never choose anything, I tell you, I remember one. Okay, I got record. No lah,
Choose the
just
tough
find
question.
something. Just find something and then we can discuss. Basically, think of it as a one question a day kind of exercise. Can be about anything. Can be about anything. Don't worry about it. You can find some questions from somewhere, don't know where, also can, no problem. Okay lah, so I think we call it a day today, and we'll meet up tomorrow around this time as well.
Yeah.
Right.
No problem.
Yeah.
Right, Jamie, if you're driving, JR, drive safe, bye bye.
Oh, okay, thanks.
Okay, see you guys. See you tomorrow. Ciao.
Okay, bye.
Bye.